You know the feeling. You're just trying to get home, and suddenly, you're in that sea of orange cones, bumper to bumper. You're watching the minutes tick by, wondering if you're ever getting out. Well, it might feel like total chaos, but behind every single one of those construction projects, there's a plan. There's a forecast trying to predict exactly how much that work is going to mess up your day. Today, we're going to dig into how the state of Michigan is trying to make those forecasts and your commute a whole lot smoother.
So let's think about that. How does a massive organization like the Department of Transportation even begin to predict the ripple effect of closing just one lane on a busy highway? Well, they use special software to try and figure out all the delays and costs. But what happens when that software is, well, older than the internet you're probably using to watch this right now?
Get this. The Michigan Department of Transportation, or Mdot, has been using a tool that was built way back in the late 1990s. I mean, just think about that for a second. The tool they're using is basically a pager. It was built for a much simpler world, but the traffic it's trying to manage today, that's a smartphone. It's complex, it's always changing, it's connected to everything. And that mismatch is really the heart of the whole story.
Okay, so the tool at the center of all this has a name. It's called CO3. And for decades, this thing has been the absolute workhorse for Michigan's traffic planners. It's been shaping how millions of dollars get spent and how millions of us drivers navigate those construction zones.
CO3 stands for Construction Congestion Cost. And yeah, you heard that right. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It was actually built with Excel 95 macros, which in today's world is kind of like using a dial-up modem when you've got fiber optic internet. Its job was pretty simple. Give planners a rough idea of how much a project will cost drivers in lost time and money. And look, it was great for its time, but traffic has changed just a little bit since 1998. So Mdot recognized this growing gap between their tool and reality, and they did something really smart. They went to a team of researchers at Western Michigan University and asked them a really simple but incredibly important question. Can this spreadsheet from the 90s still handle the crazy demands of 21st century traffic? It was time to put CO3 under the microscope. So where do you even start? How do you test a tool that's so deeply woven into a state's entire planning process? It's not like you can just turn it off for a week. No, this was going to take a really careful, step-by-step approach to figure out what was really going on.
The team at Western Michigan University knew they couldn't just look at the software itself. They had to look at the whole picture, the entire ecosystem. That meant talking to the people who use it every single day. And it meant seeing how its predictions actually held up in the real world. All of this was to find the absolute best path forward for every driver in Michigan. Their plan broke down into 4 really clear steps. First up, talk to the engineers and planners who are actually in the trenches using CO3. Then, they were going to put it head-to-head against modern tools out on real construction sites. Step 3, take all that data and really analyze it. And finally, use everything they learned to recommend the smartest way forward.
So let's start with step 1, and this is a big one, the users. What do the actual people using this thing every day have to say about their trusty, if a little rusty, Excel sheet?
Okay, what's really fascinating here is the feedback they got on how easy it was to use. Now, for beginners, you'd kind of expect it to be tough. And yeah, half of them gave negative feedback. But look at that bar on the far right, the experts. These are the people who've used the tool on more than 5 major projects, and over a third of them still rated it negatively. That is a massive red flag. When your most experienced users are still finding it frustrating, you know you've got a real problem.
When the researchers really dug in with focus groups, the specific complaints just came pouring out. The user manual was confusing. The results were just a wall of numbers, no charts, no graphs, nothing helpful. It couldn't even calculate basic road capacity on its own, so users had to go hunt for those numbers somewhere else. And it totally choked on really common but complex situations like a major freeway-to-freeway detour. You can just feel the frustration building.
All right, so the users were not happy. But, feelings aren't data. The real question is, how did CO3 actually perform when it was put up against modern, up-to-date tools? And that brings us to the next really critical part of this whole investigation.
The researchers picked 5 very different, very real construction projects happening across Michigan. This wasn't a lab simulation. They tested everything from a simple lane closure on a highway to a complete road shutdown that required a detour, and even one of those stop-and-go flagging operations on a small 2-lane road. It was a serious stress test, designed to push these tools to their absolute limits.
And the results? Well, they were pretty stark. CO3 could give you a ballpark estimate, which, to be fair, is what it was originally designed to do. But the modern tools, it was like going from a simple sketch artist to a super high-resolution camera. They were way more precise. They handled all the complex stuff with no problem, and they gave the kind of deep analysis that modern traffic planning really needs.
So, the data was in. The users found the tool frustrating, and it was getting seriously outperformed by the competition. The research team was now facing the biggest question of all. What should Mdot do next?
They basically laid out 4 possible paths. Option 1, just ditch CO3 completely and buy some off-the-shelf commercial software. Option 2, keep CO3, but give it a major facelift, right there inside its Excel home. Option 3, rebuild CO3 from the ground up as a brand new, modern piece of software. Or Option 4, start totally fresh and build a new Michigan-specific tool from scratch. Now, you'd think, given its age and all its problems, that they'd just recommend a complete replacement, right? But after weighing all the pros and cons, the researchers came back with a recommendation that was actually pretty surprising. They recommended Option 2, stick with the spreadsheet. Enhance the CO3 tool we already have, but keep it in Excel. Now, I know, that probably sounds a little counterintuitive. I mean, why not just get the shiny new thing? But when you actually look at the reasoning, the decision to revamp instead of replace was, without a doubt, the most pragmatic and effective choice they could have made. And it teaches a really important lesson about technology and infrastructure. So why was this the smartest move? Well, for starters, it fits right into how Mdot already does things. There's no need to totally upend their processes. Plus, an enhancement can directly fix the biggest user complaints, like adding that built-in capacity calculator and just making it easier to use. And maybe most importantly, it avoids the huge cost and disruption of buying brand new software and retraining hundreds of people. It was the solution that just delivered the most bang for the buck. And here's the real takeaway. This whole story about an old spreadsheet isn't just some boring administrative detail. A smarter, more accurate tool lets Mdot make better decisions. They can schedule roadwork at better times, they can predict delays more accurately, and they can design projects that cause way less of a headache for all of us. And all of that translates directly into a faster, safer, and much less frustrating drive for you. And it leaves us with this really important question that goes way beyond Michigan's highways. In a world that's just obsessed with the newest, shiniest thing, this story is a powerful reminder to stop and ask, when is it actually better, smarter, and more effective to just upgrade what we already have instead of chasing the expensive promise of starting all over again?